Hey guys, so I made a couple of videos making fun of the PlayStation 5, and I just want to clarify it wasn't anything against the video games or anything. I really am just, I didn't like how the system looked. I got tired of it being in my room, and I have a PS4 and I'm happy with that. But look, I want to talk about Death Stranding because I didn't finish the game, unfortunately. I was playing the definitive version on PS5 and I was enjoying it up to a certain point. I got up to, I mean, here's the sick part about it. I think this is why I burnt out on the game. I played a good 80 hours into it, like in a couple of weeks, while all this other stuff was going on in my life, so maybe 3 weeks. Um, I got up almost to finishing episode three, and I know you could say episode three. What the fuck were you doing? You suck at games. You taking that long? I wasn't really playing the main story. I got so sucked into playing like just the collecting and picking stuff up and building all my stars at all of the bases that you would go to, bringing up your trust ratings, and I even got sucked into doing the ones for the players where you pick up everything for the players and you get the likes from the players. Like I actually got more hooked into the delivery and the riding and the traveling and more than the story. Like I'll be honest with you, the story wasn't really the reason why I kept going back to Death Stranding 1 Definitive Edition on the PS5. As impressive as the graphics are, as impressive as the animations are, the acting and everything, the story kind of bored me after a while. At first, I really did like the story, and you can see that in some of my notes here that I wrote. I even made a specific notebook just for Death Stranding, okay? And I will have the video playing in the background of what I was playing at the time. So, like, one point that I wrote here, I said, this made me appreciate necessity. Starting off with low weight capacity, slowly building up the strength to really feel the progression. Like, yeah, like in the beginning of the game, at first I'm like, oh my god, I don't know if I'm gonna get, I gotta run around and stuff and walk and then when you enter the first base, you see these cars and stuff. You're like, why can't I just fucking take one of those cars and drive around? And they had their reasons for it. I don't even remember. And I was like, oh man, I don't know about this, man. I don't know. But it's funny because I was patient enough. And as you get better at it, and then you even get that exoskeleton suit, I got like the gold exoskeleton level 3. And like you kind of start actually enjoying the walking and running around the terrain for a while and balancing the stuff. But of course that would get kind of boring after a while. So luckily, once you get up to a certain point, you could unlock a trike. You could get the trike with the double battery on it, so the energy lasts even longer. And you walk around with these like PCE boxes. They're like these things that you can use to create a radio tower, or I'm sorry, a watchtower to look over the landscape, or a bridge to climb over, to have a bridge for like rivers if you want. Or you could have a drop box, so like if you got too much shit with you and you don't have like a near base to go to, or you're just getting too heavy or you want to take a break, you could put a drop box there and either leave it for yourself to come back to, or another player you could entrust the delivery to. And of course that system works with any other base that you go to, but it's very cool. And lastly, the most important part, the most used I would say of the PCE toolbox, is creating the generator. So for your vehicles, you have these generators that would charge up your vehicles, so you could put them in certain places, and you start forming like your own kind of like travel patterns and becoming more effective at doing it. That part in itself is very addicting. I say in the oh, I said all that already, losing it to, yeah. So I said like the at first in the beginning, like the fragility of everything made me appreciate the vehicles more and caring for the property. And also like what that I mean by that is, for those of you who haven't played Death Stranding, so you live in this world of chiralium, and when it rains, the it's not really water, it's chiralium, and it ages everything. So say like if you get hit by the water, it ages your skin. And if you get fully hit by the water without any protection, you'll like die of old age instantly, kind of thing. So it does it to the environment, it does it to the world, and the environment like dies, starts over. Like the cycles are like very fast. You can see the they put the details into the grass and the flowers, like when the rain happens. Like you see the cycle of life happening in like 5 seconds, every 5 seconds. It's very creative. I think that was very cool. But when you put you like either your bridges or your generators up, or you start building roads for the bridges company you're working for, it's degrading over time because of the chiralium rain. So you could upgrade it, right? And I got very addicted into and to upgrade it, you would need to collect like metals. I forgot what the other materials were called. Forgive me. Geez, I'm having a mind blank. But you would collect these materials, and you could just find them like dropped, or you would win them, get them from other deliveries, or you could get them from your share lockers, stuff like that, you know. But I was getting addicted to refining the road system once you got left the East Coast and went more towards the Midwest, the second part of the game. I got hooked into making that long road system and putting generators in certain places, and then upgrading the generators to last even longer. And when you would upgrade them, you could put like music or icons. And if you would be playing online, other players would like your structures or generators or things that you would put up, because if it would help them out on their journey as well. So I would get some likes from that. I only got up to like 200,000, 160,000 between that likes altogether after 80 hours of like playing this way. And what else did I write on here? In a large, what did I say here? Death Stranding enhances the overall appreciation of living life. In a large, beautiful, yet mostly devoid of life open world, lack of people and animals allows each encounter with breathing life all the more magnified. From fellow porters, that's what they call you. You're like a porter. Traversing with their walking sticks. I love giving them as many likes as possible. Yeah, so like you might be walking or riding on your trike, whatever, and you'll see like a couple of other guys, like and it'll tell you too what items they're walking around with, you know. And sometimes they'll stop, or if you accidentally drive too fast, they'll be like freaked out about it. But I would always walk up to them, you know, say, "Hey, how you doing?" Or he would always say, Norman Reedus would say, "Mine's is heavier than yours," you know, Norman Reedus' shit. And then you go up to them and you keep tapping the button and giving them likes and stuff, and you can only do it up to a certain point, but it's like you're being super friendly with them. And yeah, the like system, that's another thing that's like really good in this too. So anyway, I say those porters, they always offer me gifts, but I never take the gifts due to the resource limitations of the world. But I mean that in like a role playing way. Like I'm like, oh, if I was in the world, I wouldn't take the gifts so much, because I'm like, nah, man, you hold on to it. You know, we don't got enough stuff. You know, I would act like that in the world, but sometimes I would take the gift. You know. So I said, even in a hopeless world, human kindness survives in the middle of nowhere. While the system of likes is hooked to oxytocin, and according to one data log, there is a literal chemical in the brain called lycocin. I only found this out when I read the data logs, when you were reading about it, because I was interested in the world a little bit, which gives survivors the motivation to keep doing their jobs. They're not getting, like, you're not getting paid money in this world. You're not getting paid money, you're just getting likes. And obviously the bases you go to, they provide you with the food and resources you need to survive. So, and the likes in itself is like a drug for the porters, which is kind of crazy. I mean, it's an interesting metaphor to real life, I think. It's very cool. These moments of, hey, humans, like look, there's porters, there's other guys who are suffering like me, actually affected me in real life. I love tapping the touchpad like a maniac to spread the likes and greet porters and bosses. When I see people outside on my walk sometimes, because where I live in real life, it's similar to the atmosphere of Death Stranding. It's empty and devoid of life. Despite being in a heavily populated area because everyone is either in home, shopping, or working, yeah, sounds normal, but it's not. Things used to be more lively years ago. When I was a child, my grandpa and I would play catch on an open field, or we would play in a certain place across the street. We would play toy guns, and same with my friends. My cousin and I would play war games in the woods and run around like maniacs. I don't see any of this kind of activity at all with modern day people. Really, I don't. I don't see this kind of stuff anymore. I don't see fathers with their sons. I don't see anybody doing anything anymore. It's really sad, and I think Death Stranding is kind of like a video game metaphor of modern life right now. So yeah, things are ultra controlled and sealed as tight as a brand new condom inside a fresh Ziploc bag. A world of sterility, I put down in my notes. So, sorry if my voice sounds a little screwed up, I'm just a little tired. So, when on occasion I cross paths with someone for real, I go out of my way to be courteous. Although I did that before, but I'm a little extra now. Even with the mules. Oh, I talk about there's like these mules in the game. They're like not bad guys. Like they're just these crazy people who became addicted to being porters, but they went off grid. And whenever you're just doing your thing, like delivering stuff, the mules like come in your way and they fuck with you and they try to mess with you and take your stuff. They're kind of pointless. They're kind of easy to get around. So there's really not much combat in the game. And the BTs that you deal with are kind of cool, but once you figure out how to beat BTs, the weird things, it just kind of becomes annoying and in the way. Like, to me, the best part of the game actually is the delivering and the transporting and the building, and the combat is much to be desired. So I said, even with the mules, once porters like Sam, now gone insane for oxytocin and the eternal chase for lives. You don't hate them or try to kill them. You can use your fists. I mean, they're so easy to kill. I mean, beat up. Like, you can just beat them up by tapping the square button. Or you could just use the bola gun, which, like, ties them up. Like, it's not really challenging. Each little partnership Sam makes with each place, either bridges or surviving preppers, feels mutual, and you're building trust with each person. Example, with every individual from the leaders of each bridge facility to the normal preppers, the engineer to the elder, etc., they stay in touch through email, and you learn bits and pieces of not only their individual stories, but also the world you now inhabit, helping the immersion tenfold. The extra motivation comes when you get good at transporting and claiming recycled resources and begin contributing to the chiral network. Building roads, post boxes, bridges, generators, and the strangest of places like mountains. I figured out crazy rough terrain paths to ride my trike through. Yeah, like for the elder in that one place, like he lives up in the mountain. I literally cheat. I go Skyrim on that mountain. Like, I fucking figured out a path to use my trike and just fucking Skyrim that shit. You know what I mean? I go right up the mountain, no problem. I got a generator waiting for me in case I use too much energy, and I Skyrim a lot of shit in this game, which is fun. Using the share locker to help other players with lost cargo is also addicting in itself as well. It really feels like I'm rebuilding humanity, not only on a material level, but also on a metaphysical, spiritual level. Reconnecting us on what it means to be human, to no longer be living in fear of death and to live again in spite of the danger. Sam inspires non-dooms, non-repatriates like George Bates to come out of his bunker and be a porter again, even with threat of permadeath. So if you didn't play Death Stranding, like the Doomers, is that what, the Dooms? I'm sorry, not Doomer. And yeah, I don't like Doomers anyway. But the Dooms guys, for some reason, they can't die because they're connected to beaches or whatever. Like I said, the story is kind of like, it's good and it's okay. It's not anything I was hooked onto. This philosophy of fighting against fear is explained in a data log by Hartman, on how some people chase fear and overcome it, the ultimate way to adapt and survive. After a while, for example, you really start to care about each place you visit, support, and envision bringing the world back, getting people to eventually leave their bunkers and live life again. To bring animal life back through chiral DNA printing as described in the data logs. So like what I'm saying there is, as you play the game, like in this game at least, there's no animal life, which, whatever. And apparently the only way you could bring animal life back is through the chiral network, through printing their DNA, like going Jurassic Park, you know? They literally say at one point, like, we could do the, as Hartman says, we could use the chiral network to do the, bring back the Tyrannosaurus Rex, and we could bring back extinct species. Which is cool, you know, but it's like, there are nights where I would get so hooked, delivering, transporting, upgrading, the time would pass to 3 a.m. in the blink of an eye. By the time I was done, my brain would be overloaded. Without realizing, I was slowly turning into an addicted mule myself. The like system scoring is insidiously genius and also another way to expose how insidiously evil social media is with the use of likes. But in the scope of the game itself, it is a great hook. Mads Mikkelsen's subtle performance during BB's visions adds to the haunting, quiet desperation of people grasping for any grain or semblance of normalcy in a world gone completely mad. Mads' love of his now brain-dead wife Lisa, who serves as a still mother for BB, who is a special infant able to detect BTs, but after a year, a BB would become unstable and eventually disposed of, which almost happened to BB, but Sam, Norman Reedus, feeling a human connection, saves BB from abortion, pretty much. As an example, Mads seeking normalcy. Mads celebrates Christmas to get any joy out of such an inhuman situation. And let's talk about BB for a little bit, I guess. Let's get a little controversial, I suppose. On BB, is BB an abortion metaphor? In the intro, before Sam took BB in, BB was hooked up to another porter Sam meets on an emergency job to dispose of a corpse before it voids out. We don't have to get into that. If you played the game, you know. If you didn't play the game, basically, when somebody dies, they have to incinerate the body at a certain place. Otherwise, it voids out and destroys the whole area and kills everybody and creates a whole area of BTs. Well, everything backfires, and the porter makes Sam take BB before the porter gets eaten by this giant BT in the sky that literally sucks him up into the sky and then eats him up like this. Eats him up. Later on, you meet this porter's brother. You meet the porter's brother when you're at like the East Coast, the first part of the game, and you travel down to the last place down at the bottom of the map. It's like where you're going down that vast hill, and it's on the docks that eventually leads you to the Midwest, and it's like right before you had that first giant boss fight, and you meet Higgs. You meet the guy's brother who died in the beginning. You meet the brother, and Lake Portnot, that's what it's called. I wrote it down here. You get emails and talk to him about what happened and why you now have his brother's BB with you. Eventually it comes up that, quote, they tell us a BB is just a tool, but when a BB sends you a like or when you soothe it to sleep after a tense BT encounter, it seems more than a tool. BB sends some likes. BB send like sometimes if you're riding your trike like nice and smoothly a certain way, like real fast and not hitting bumps, like BB is sending you likes and it's telling you BB is very happy. Like when you're rocking him, like sometimes after a BT encounter, the baby gets stressed out and stuff from detecting the BTs and all that. It takes up all this energy. And he has like a bar, So if you let the bar get too far down, the baby could get some kind of sickness, auto something. So you have to like kind of maintain the baby and shake him with the access controller. And like when you're looking at the baby in first person mode, he's like blowing bubbles like in the tank. That's very funny. Very funny. What kind of world would look at a baby as a disposable tool? Is this a reflection on modern society's almost Moloch like obsession with abortion? And yes, I say Moloch. And for those of you who don't know Moloch, I mean, I think he was the Babylonian god, that the Babylonians would have these festive orgies, and they would have this giant Moloch statue, and the woman would give their babies, they would put the baby in the fire and they would burn it and sacrifice it to the Moloch god. And they did some other fucking disgusting stuff which I won't get too into right here. You could look it up yourself about Babylonians, Moloch, baby sacrifice, that kind of crazy shit. And the reason why I bring up the is this a metaphor for abortion, Death Stranding, and fatherhood, motherhood? And I was just curious, so I looked up U.S. abortions from 1973 to 2025 statistics. And look, people on the left, relax, calm down. I'm just talking about stuff I looked up, facts. I'm just relax. And people on the right, also relax. Just listen to the facts that I'm about to say. So, according to U.S. abortions, 1973, 2025 statistics, we have killed 67,464,760 babies we have aborted. This is the same number, roughly, as how many Chinese people were genocided by Mao's Cultural Revolution. Worldwide, so that number I gave you of 67 million plus abortions, that was America from 73 to 2025. Now, worldwide abortion since 1980 is 1,751,392,450 babies and counting. So that's worldwide. And I suppose if you take the American number down from the worldwide number, that would bring it down to roughly, let's just say for shits and giggles, 1,700,000,000. Let's just say for shits and giggles. It would be less than that, I know, by a little bit more, but that's a pretty big number. And I say my source here was www.numberofabortions.com. Like literally, dude, they have a website that counts all this shit. I didn't even know about that. I just typed it in and I looked up the source, and that was the source. Fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. Think what you will of this. I'm just telling you the facts that I found. Yes, there is literally an abortion clock, like we have a debt clock, I wrote down in my notes. So, Sam's rejection to dispose or abort BB serves as a philosophical and spiritual aspect, possibly. Sam is taking full responsibility to protect the defenseless child, even with all of the risk and inconveniences that most people in this strand world wouldn't take upon themselves with the excuse of the big bad world. Sam rejects this anti-life, sterile modernity and carries this child through danger, peril, and insanity most of humanity pre-strand ever had to face. The spiritual meaning of protecting children and the weak. Despite Kojima clearly being a believer in evolutionary theory, clearly, I mean, all you hear in the game is evolution, 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 and I know MGS2 and those games had the evolution stuff in it, the AI and MGS2 saying, we are going to protect the evolutionary path of humanity. I know Kojima is a big Darwinist. He's a big Darwinist, obviously, let's be frank. And I know you're going to say, what, you got a problem with Darwin? You got a problem with Darwin? I got a couple problems with Darwin. And it's not on the religious aspect. Actually, it's on the human aspect. And I'm gonna just use one source, which I know you're gonna say I don't like him, but I read a book one time by Tom Wolfe. It was called The Kingdom of Speech, and he did do an excellent write-up. about Darwin and how he stole his ideas from this guy who was like a bug catcher. And the bug catcher didn't get his name recognized because he wasn't in the academics, he wasn't at the top. And even though it was his ideas, Darwin stole his ideas, basically. But this bug catcher who came up with the evolutionary idea, he actually, as he got older, became more spiritual, apparently, and said, I was kind of wrong about it. So if you look into that, that's up to you to decide. I'm not telling you to believe what I just said. You could look that up yourself. Look up Tom Wolfe. I believe it was called Kingdom Under Speech or Kingdom of Speech. And fascinating enough, why he called it Kingdom of Speech was because the one thing the evolutionists never actually explained was, how the hell are we able to talk? And I know you, if you got an answer in the comments, go ahead. But like really though, think about that for a minute, right? Anyway, so I said here, despite Kojima clearly being a believer in evolutionary theory, through BB specifically, he contradicts his own evolutionary beliefs. Evolution to some is the extreme survival of the fittest. However, if one looks closer at the human experience, this only applies to the sterile, soulless, corporate worlds of today. But throughout everyday life, families protect their old, not so much in Western society anymore, unfortunately, where this corporate evolutionary materialism has seeped into everyday civilian life, where now older people in Western civilization, I'm just clarifying, where older people now are disposed of in mass-produced retirement homes, never to be seen by family again in many cases. No longer is the American way a picturesque scene of generational homes like the classic depiction of the Waltons. Other non-Western countries, for the most part, respect their elders. So what I'm trying to say there, I'm saying this from my own experience. I had to go to these retirement homes a few times because my grandfather's doctor was there, and we would go to that place. And no, my grandpa's not in a retirement home. We had to go there because his doctor happened to have his office there at one time, and we had to drive there. We went inside the place, and it was terrible. You could see nobody visits these people. It's like a mill for the old people to just wait and die. I mean, the staff was, treating them nice and everything, but there's just something about it, man. It just seems, it feels to me like the way the country is set up, it's like we use you, right? And all these things you do, and then it's like we just put you in a factory to just let you die. I think the old-fashioned way was better, where you stayed with your family until you died. Like, would you rather? I mean, yeah, I know there's cases where you say, oh, well, there some people, the family they hate, and that you wouldn't want to die with them anyway. But I feel like a lot of that is attributed because of how bad our society is now. Like, you're not going to see the Waltons anymore, or maybe there are certain cultures that still do it who come here. Like, I think the immigrants have that kind of culture still. The immigrants are very family oriented. I respect that about them. I've seen it in my own eyes. The Italians used to be very family oriented, my people, before we became Americanized, unfortunately. So let me get back to this. Nonetheless, the norm has been to protect the weak, the children, families who still love and care for their children, who are autistic or disabled for life. Oh, and what I'm saying here is, further to disprove the evolutionary theory of survival of the fittest, if that was true, why do you have parents who have children who are autistic or worse, totally disabled, they can't do anything their whole life? Why do these parents care for them and love them the rest of their life? That completely goes against evolutionary theory, because if we were like animals, we would not keep these people alive. We would not love them. We would let them die. We would off them. That is animalistic. That is, so that's why I'm saying I don't think evolutionary theory really applies to the human experience. I mean, yes, we have had cruel regimes and genocides and evil people who do these things. Eugenicists, yes, I'm very aware. But to me, that is evil. That is anti-human. And the eugenicists themselves use evolutionary theory to justify killing people that they find undesirable. So do you really want to do you really want to put yourself in that mode of thinking? Because it only leads to that. It only leads to somebody has to say, oh, who's worthless, who's not, who's desirable, who isn't. That's not a great way to go. So in each case, love overrides evolution any day. Modernity, of course, has trained our natural human tendencies of love and care to serve GDP and care more about phony politics. So I that was the end of my notes, but let me go a little more off of my mind here. So let me go back on more of the game. Unfortunately, I traded in my PS5, so I didn't finish it. I was like 70, 80 hours into the game, episode 3, and like I said, it's only because I was just addicted to the gameplay itself. I wasn't that into the story. Do I recommend this game? Absolutely. I absolutely recommend this game if you're open to Norman Reedus, Kojima, you like Kojima stuff. I didn't like most of Kojima's stuff. I like some of his stuff, to clarify. But I don't think it's for everybody. If you don't have patience, if you're somebody who needs action, no, this game will not satisfy you. The action sucks. But the traveling, traversing, building, delivery system is so addicting. Very addicting. So I'm giving this a fair review, even though I didn't finish the game, which is even more reason why I want to give it a fair review. But I think the story is a little overly... It takes itself a little too seriously. It kind of bored me after a while, and I was trying to like the characters. Norman Reedus doesn't... I actually just like him as the character, like running around and doing my thing gameplay wise, but character wise, like in the cutscenes, he takes too long to develop. And the girl that the one with the umbrella, I already forgot her name. She's okay, she's all right, you know. Higgs, man, Higgs is pretty fucking cool. I'll give you that. I like Higgs. He's pretty cool. And the guy with the guy that talks to you, not Hartman, the other guy, he has the mask that talks. He's got this really cool voice, Sam, and this is what you got to do, Sam. If you don't do it, you won't get the likes, Sam. He has a really cool voice. I got a feeling he's a villain, but I don't know. I didn't finish the story, so I don't know the ending, and frankly, I don't really care. If you if you took the story out of Death Stranding and just made it like a open world, a delivery game where you're building roads, and even more loose, like where, because the roads that you build in like the second part of the game, they're like default, like there's only certain roads that you could build, and that they'll be set, like it's a main thing. If you made it where like you could build roads wherever you want, like you could do generators wherever you want, bridges mostly wherever you want, depending on the terrain, watchtowers wherever you want. So, but if you could do that same thing with roads, man, and have like almost a what do they call it for Minecraft, where it's like randomly seeded, generated? Yeah, like if you have like a generated world for yourself, and always be building different roads and delivery systems, I think this game would be fucking amazing. Okay, you don't really need the story. You don't. I don't think you need the story. You don't need even dialogue. Like, you could have people when you pick them up, like just have like Zelda stuff, like just the captions and all that. And if you want, but if you want the story, like in terms of like, you don't need the cutscenes, right? You could just have lore. Like you, as you're playing the game, you pick up lore, and then you could build up your data logs, like what you do already. But imagine the way I'm saying, like a generational game, like a generated game like Minecraft with Death Stranding graphics, delivery system, and building mechanics, man. Dude, if that game was like that, I would have kept the PS5, and I got a digital copy of it on PS4 anyway. Maybe I'll go back to it one day, but right now, I'd rather put my time towards Pokemon, and a couple other games, and reading some comics. Obviously, I'm getting back to reading comics. That's what my channel is, reading comics. So I got to do that too. But yeah, guys, what did you guys think of Death Stranding 1? Okay, I didn't play 2, but if you want to talk about 2, go ahead. I don't care about spoilers. It doesn't bother me that much because, like I said, the story is meh. But yeah, guys, I'll give it I'll give it a 7.5 out of 10. I don't want to give it any lower because that's not fair. I didn't finish the game. So if I finished the game, maybe it would have been a higher score, or maybe it would have been lower if it got more boring. So you guys let me know what you think. Thanks for watching.